Okay, story time about how I told my dad what I do for work. So I have a three-step process for how I tell people what I do when I think they're going to react badly. So my dad had already been through stages 1 and 2, and this past summer he came out to visit me, and we were sitting in a restaurant having dinner, and he puts his fork down and he goes, "Tell me what you really do for work." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "I know you're not making the kind of money you say you make doing what you say you do. So tell me the truth. I promise I can handle it." And I was like, so I took a deep breath and I told him, and he sat quietly for a second, and I was waiting for him to react poorly, and instead he did the most dad, or at least the most my dad thing ever. He said, "Do you have a lawyer?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Do you work for anybody?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Do you have a booking agent, a production company? Do you have a manager of any kind?" I said, "No, I am 100% independent." He said, "So there is nobody that you answer to? There is nobody who can suggest that you need to do this type of work or you got to show up to this kind of shoot? There's none of that?" I said, "No, there's none of that." He said, "Do you have an accountant?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Do you have a financial advisor?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Is he good?" "I got a guy." And I said, "He's really good, Dad." And he said, "Are you happy?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't want to, I don't want to put quite so much cheese on it, but yeah, I like what I do. It's pretty fun and I'm good at it and I make a lot of money and I'm careful with my money." And he said, "Good for you." And he just kept eating his steak.